Hey everyone, welcome to the Tom's Hardware Podcast for December 14th, 2021. As always, I'm Tom's Hardware Editor in Chief, Avram Pilch. And while folks start to filter in, our very special guest today is Shane Bourgeois, uh, a very talented maker who has some really incredible holiday stuff to show us. My normal co-hosts are both out today, so it's just Shane and me for this. And I know it's somewhat of a quieter time because it's holiday, but this is an incredible time to really take advantage of any time off that folks have or slower time at work to work on your Raspberry Pi projects. I certainly invite, as always, we're taking your questions and comments live in the chat room, and this is also a great time to use your Raspberry Pi for your holiday decorations. And I know Shane has done an amazing job of that at his house. So first of all, Shane, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the show. Can you tell everyone a little bit about yourself and what you do?
No, thanks for having me. Right now I run this Christmas show for half of the year, and the rest of the year is planning Christmas lights like a lunatic nonstop. For work, I work at UMass Med in their AV department, and this is just a little hobby here. And we have, I think there's 6 Raspberry Pis running the show at any given time. Some on standby, and then I deal with the Pi 4s, which are little heat bugs. Which is great though, because I'm in New England and cooling is not an issue. I just leave things outside.
Yeah, no question about it. So what have you set up? What have you set up at home?
So at home, let me change this here. So at home, this is the football at home. We refer to this. There's these are 4 Raspberry Pi 4s, all with OLED screens and the equivalent of NeoPixels, WS2811s or 28Bs. There's the flavor of NeoPixels. It's all the same. And I have these little cases, 3D printed, nice modular 6-inch rack units, and they all have little fans on them. Like I said, the Raspberry Pi 4 is she gets a little hot. She gets a little toasty. We can move this open, and we'll open one of these up in a minute here.
So the case is 3D printed?
Yeah. All these cases are 3D printed. The files are on Thingiverse.
Oh,
and I should probably put them out somewhere clever. And I keep molding them. You know, I kind of, this is revision. I feel like this is revision 8 because we had Raspberry Pi 3s and now we're at 4. And then I'll add a button here and there happily. You know, but off to the side. So
that's really impressive. It looks metal.
Yeah. No. Would you believe? No. This is just this. Cool. Drop that on the ground. Let me see if I can get this open. Come on now. Hold on. I apologize. This is user error. I built these with too many screws and then forgot about it. Yeah, it's just silver PLA. So super easy to 3D print. Great beginner 3D print. Not a lot of supports needed for these guys, but because it's PLA, yeah, I really care about temperatures in these. We can zoom into this or talk about this, or I can move on to what our model.
I'm really curious about. So you've got a huge rack of these. What is inside the rack?
That's it. Basically, this is a knockoff Pelican case, so we're totally waterproof. I actually can pop this out if I'm careful. And this is the hidden mess behind the scenes. So I'll give you a quick rundown from this side. So 50 watt 5 volt power supply, and then everything's on a 5 volt bus. don't judge me. There's no fusing on anything, but all this stuff is pretty low voltage and safe, so I haven't fused anything. 50-watt power supply, and then I have a small FM transmitter, and it's like 50 milliwatts. It's nothing. So in the U.S., as long as I'm not stepping on a radio station, no one's ever going to know. It's like half a block. This is actually a gigabit Ethernet switch that I converted to these connectors. These are Ethercon. These are Ethercon connectors. They're nice connectors you can wrench on. And then we have a little audio amplifier mixer, so I can send audio to my radio station. And then I have a stereo 50 channel. I think it's 100 watts actually, little amplifier. And this is NL4 with power switch, and I connect speakers ready to go any given time. It's kind of really nice. And going over here, this is another 4-port switch, or 5-port switch rather. They daisy chain from this switch to this switch. All 4 of these Raspberry Pis feed in here. This Raspberry Pi is a little special actually. So this spits out color light card data. So for the panels on the show, it's on a different network. It has to be a gigabit network. So you have to use an adapter or use a switch in between. And I can give you I can just show you what the panels are here. There's one of the panels now.
The best one.
That's one. That's one of the, so I have 4 of these panels on the house. And so there's a network just to deal with the panels. They're their own special data protocol. I think it's I don't even know what it is. It's like color light. I can look it up, but that's the color light protocol. It's like a Hub 75 connector. But
so
you can
what resolution?
Of those things.
What resolution are the panels?
So these panels, there's 2 panels in this little box, and they're 32 by 64 pixels. So we're at 64 by 64 right now, and this is just in a normal wreath, 32 inches. It's not super big. It's really nice size wreath.
Wow. So how do you get power to it? Is it battery driven, or do you have power coming out of the house?
I am an absolute lunatic. Standby. So I'm an absolute lunatic. So I have hooked up. I have a sub panel in my basement, and I have every corner of the house. There's 20 amps of GFI protected power. Everything outside, if I was really clever, I could do some injections, but I just a la carte 5-volt power supplies. And I don't cheap on power supplies either. All this stuff is outside. It's wet constantly. Ice is like the slow killer of pixels. So I spend the most on power supplies. Really, I won't skip on those. Because I don't want to burn down my house either.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I spend the extra $5 and save the house.
No question. No question about it. So you have a bunch of those around your house? Yes,
there are 3 on the house. Let me pull up a picture for you. I'm not ready to pull up a picture for you. I'm terribly sorry.
That's okay.
Well, I want to be ready though.
Do you want me to show the trailer?
That would be great. That would be amazing.
So Shane has put up a trailer on your YouTube channel, correct?
Yes.
And and I want to show everybody watching this because this is pretty cool.
Come on. Push the button. Come on. Push the button. Come on, push the button.
Yeah, come on, push the button.
So
what are folks looking at over there?
So that actually I had that sign. That's just a parking sign. I had someone print up online. It was like $30. It was fantastic. They printed that all up for me, and I put in an industry button that I found on Amazon, and I put a NeoPixel inside as well, and that talks to a Raspberry Pi, and that will trigger a relay that starts the audio off and on. Also, for a little while, for a couple months before the show was set up, no one knew if you press that button, it would start the show. So that this Raspberry Pi backbone, all this software is based off of Falcon Pi Player, and it's some powerful stuff. These guys, the developers, have done a great job. This is totally open source. They have their GitHub page. You just download this and you'd install it just how you would install any other Raspberry Pi system. But when you unload it, you don't get your normal desktop. This is like this is designed to be headless. You type in an IP address. And you have this page here, and you can do your full setup, your show. So in my show, we kind of run through this. We have all these outputs. This is the kind of the old school way of doing things, but I'm unicasting all this RS-232. Oh my God, E131 data to all there's 21 Arduinos that run the show, along with these Raspberry Pis. So everything was custom and homemade, and you could get started with one Raspberry Pi. Will do 1,400 pixels just out of the gate, which is pretty much a whole house, the frame of a house, without getting crazy. Unless you live in a mansion, and then that you have different problems, so you're fine.
So why do you need 4 Pis if 1 Pi can handle that many pixels?
That is a great question. One of the answers is I'm a lunatic. But so I have 2 Pis handle. I have 2 Pis handle the screens by themselves. The screens are a different weird protocol. So when we look at these screens, they have to run in a different mode, and they don't play well with pixels at the same time. And I don't want to lie about the software. I was more worried about what the Pi could handle. When I have all this crunching, these Pis don't do anything. So right now we're running at 63% CPU, and it actually is calculating a dimming value. So I have my normal show, and we're dimming it at 30%. So these pixels are super bright, and it does all those calculations live. And there's there's a couple 100,000 pixels out there, and for a 1 gig Raspberry Pi 4, it does pretty good. I thought but so when I designed this, I was worried. So I wanted everything to be super modular. Little did I know, the software is so streamlined and so robust. I kind of overdid it, but I never wanted an issue. But this Raspberry Pi is in here. So let me just swap back. So when we look at the screen here, we can get into the Raspberry Pi and take a peek at what it's doing. So right now it's just in remote mode. And so it's in remote mode. So the main Raspberry Pi, which is the master, will send just sync packets of data, and it just tells it when to stop and when to slow down and pick up as the network changes. And it's really accurate. These guys did an incredible job. But on the output side, normally we'd see E131 data or pixel data, but I have LED panels attached to color light cards. And so that you can see there's 4 little panels inside that one panel, inside that one screen. And I tell it a channel number. I guess we could talk about channels too. That's something a little complicated. But I'll tell it a channel number, and it doesn't know where to look. I use X lights to sequence the shows. So that's just we're generating images through X lights, and then everything is allocated with a channel. Now X lights also, now the show's apparently the show's old now. X lights also has automized. Automized. They've automated all of these steps, so you can plug it in a Raspberry Pi, put X lights on your computer, get programming, and know nothing about channel data or networking whatsoever, and it'll connect all the lines for you. It'll just boop, It'll figure out exactly what light goes where. I used to think of it as a big matrix. So you have the picture of your house, and you're filling in a big matrix just like you would a TV screen, and you're just literally putting the pixels to fill in the screen. So the more pixels you have, the more you turn your house into a giant TV. And literally, I could broadcast TV on the house if I had enough pixels. You'd never know the difference. So I gotta say, these guys just did a crazy job with the software. I can kind of fumble around with the networking, and I make cool things, but these guys are brilliant. Good on them.
So how many lights do you have on your house?
I can give you an exact number. Why lie? Why lie when I can? So right now there are 28,000 lights. 128,000 lights on the house. So that's with the screens too. So 60 by 6, 64 by 64. It goes up really fast, but there's 128,000 lights on the house, and this software can handle like 200 million, something obscene. It's like it's almost offended how well the software can handle these lights, and you can always do more too.
Wow. So what does the show look like for someone who goes and presses that button?
Up close, it's do you want to play that link that I sent you, or up close it's pretty.
Did you send me a different link or the preview one?
I think I messed up. I'm trying to be seamless here. You're quick. You're quick for me,
It's okay. So yeah, I mean, while we're talking about this, what do your neighbors say?
So actually, we're in a really good neighborhood. The neighbors happen to love it. That's why I put the button too. So I didn't want audio playing all the time. When you push it, it's reasonably loud. I want to keep them happy, but the neighbors that live directly next to me, they're only at the most 20 feet. They're really close. They love it. They just want a ditto sign in their yard pointing to my house, and I really appreciate that. But they're absolutely great people. And then luckily, there's an apartment complex across the street from me, and no one says anything. So I don't know. The town likes it though. So there's a Facebook page that goes with this, and I update the town. There's no car accidents in front of the house. So as long as that happens, we stay under the radar. No one. I don't think anyone's gonna make a big fuss about it.
You must have people driving by just to see it, though.
Yeah. So we have. I can calculate right now it's the busier time. It's every half an hour. There's 3 people outside of the house. On any given time. Yeah, I'm sorry for the YouTube links. I apologize. That's not helpful.
That's okay. I have found a way to download them from YouTube, so I'm doing it right now while we're talking. And then I'll upload it again because the software we use for this, StreamYard, which by the way we really like, is great for streaming because I don't have to have a powerful computer, nor do you. It just all happens in the cloud.
Oh, that's why. Okay, because I saw the 720p pixel cap off, and I was like, wait a second. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, it would be. I think doing 1080 would be better, I guess, but it's a great service because it handles all this stuff for us, and I don't need to have a good PC to grab all the feeds and spit them out.
We're much like this too. You did, yeah. This looks great. I mean, sorry.
So, yeah, so it's good like that. So what I have to do to make it play a video though is I just have to upload it as an MP4. So what I have to do is just download your YouTube as an MP4. Otherwise, I think trying to stream YouTube through a system that's already streaming, there's probably the internet will probably explode or something. It's almost done now.
I can show you one of these too.
Yeah.
One of these modules. So it's four 3D prints that make these, and like 20 little screws. And so these 3D prints, like I said, they print out really easy. If you are a beginner, this is kind of a great project. I did add the heatsink and the fan to it, and then the backplane keeps changing between the different versions of Raspberry Pis. But other than that, everything has remained the same. So we have yellow, green, any crazy old color. With this guy, let me get in here. I borrowed a PTZ camera from work just for you. We just take the 5 volts for the fan right off the Raspberry Pi. Same thing with the OLED screen. So there's 4 wires for the OLED screen. This button now can cycle through the different features on the screen. And by can, I mean like in theory. It's really easy to set up, but I haven't done it yet. Because that I was waiting for a software update. They just did it. And this is kind of the business end of the whole deal. Just a little bit of hot glue goes a long way for some of these. And I've been using these beautiful wires that Adafruit turned me on to. These are all silicone wires. You don't even you can just rip them with your fingernail, strip them with your fingernail. It's unbelievable. But so we have a little OLED, a little OLED, a really small power switch. So a button to toggle through the screens, and then this is a Pixel proper, and I can actually see the sync delay between all the Raspberry Pis. So every single Raspberry Pi has one of these on there, and if they're close enough, you can see them flash. So that's one of that's one of the Pixel outputs, and then the other Pixel outputs I solder. This is a normal not waterproof Pixel connector. So I kind of standardize on these. So if we want to hook up any Pixels to any one of these Raspberry Pis, you can just do that without even thinking about it. I'm a big fan of soldering the 5 volts on the back of the Raspberry Pis to the touchpad, the test pads. That way you don't have to mess with USB-C or however you want to inject power into this guy. And then it's always out of the way. You never have an issue.
That makes sense. So shall we see the video of how this all works? All right.
Yes, please.
I have to give the applause for that. So if someone's actually in front of your house, though, they have to tune into that radio station to hear it, right? You're muted here. You got to unmute.
You know,
yourself.
I said make sure I unmute myself, and then just didn't. Great. Yeah, you can tune into that radio station if you're. A lot of people just drive by with cars, but now if you're on foot, you hit that button, and it's plenty loud, and that button it's just designed to just last 8 minutes, which is the length of our show, generally speaking, give or take. So if you time up right, or if I hear it too, I'll turn it on for you if someone's on foot. I'll do it on purpose. But we stick to a strict, every half hour schedule. Because people, I don't know, if people come from who knows where, I want a little bit of consistency for them, especially if you have a little bit of a drive.
Wow. So if you're in front of the house, you can't hear it, or you can hear it.
You can with that button. Yeah, you got to turn that. If you hit that button now, and a lot of people get it. Because it was just so quiet. I had it quiet. It's all about the neighbors, keeping the neighbors happy. So now, at least if it's on, someone actively has hit that button, and someone's standing out there. So it's hard for the neighbors to get mad at it. But yeah, so either way, you have the radio station, or you hit that button, and you have plenty of music going.
Wow, that is amazing. Is it the same this year as last? That was from 2020, right?
Yeah. So we just I added more pixels, and I have to re-record it. That programming for the sequencing for that song, it's like 40 hours a song, give or take, because the timing is really important. So now there's like 60 hours into it. It's a little more polished, and I got to get the drone out there. We got to record that thing. It's like it has to happen immediately. It's on my to-do list. I was hoping for some snow. I try to wait for snow and then record it, but it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, that could be a problem this year. I don't know about Massachusetts, but around here it's still like 50 degrees. So yeah, you got to get. So how long do you leave it up each year?
It's up the third week in November, and then January 6th it's down immediately. I kind of think we're gonna do Halloween now. It's a lot of work to keep up, but I keep it up. I put it up and then rip it down immediately because of the wear and tear. With the ice is my enemy. With the ice, with the rain and snow. I mean, snow is fine. Ice is the problem because everything heats up ever so slightly, and we'll start melting snow, and then issues will slowly creep into all these pixels. It's hard to tell, but every now and then, a pixel will go out, and so you see me on a ladder replacing an individual light. I just solder them a la carte as they break. I have a little torch, low temperature melt solder with heat shrink tubing, and go to town. Just every single one. It's 6 connections and a pain, but I think it's worth it. It's worth it.
That is absolutely amazing. That is the most amazing Christmas light show I've ever seen, and it is powered by Raspberry Pi. It is a tourist destination. So
would you believe too, we're small compared to, so some of these guys are absolute lunatics. We're like one of the smaller ones, but if you see these shows on YouTube and TikTok, now you can assume that 90% of them are now powered by Raspberry Pi. This is a big movement that's happening in the background. Raspberry Pi and X lights with FPP it's insane right now. And they're all open source, not for profit. Right now, if you have an issue with X lights sequencing software, you can go on their webpage, search X lights, and there's 20 people in a Zoom room right now waiting to help you for free. And I'm not plugging them. They don't pay me. They're open source. But I just think that's really cool. They really tried to build the community up. And a lot of people just don't really know. But I thought I should say that too. It's an amazing thing. You could just call them. I'm not calling them. Zoom instantly. There's 20 people in a waiting room with their hands up, waiting for help, and it's totally free. No big deal.
Wow, that's fantastic. For a much smaller scale thing, I told Shane this before we went on air, but I have coming in the mail, but it didn't arrive yet, a Pi Hut RGB Christmas tree hat. So so for those who want something affordable and way too lazy to do what he did, you can have a little RGB Christmas tree on top of your Raspberry Pi. It's about this big, so I don't think the neighbors would see it unless I stuck it right in the window. But there's there's so much great stuff. So I want to thank Shane for joining us today. Absolutely amazing project. I encourage you all to check out his YouTube channel, which that's not it, which is at I think the easiest way would be just to go to YouTube and search for his name, because otherwise this is the channel, this is the exact URL.
Wow, I need to work on that. Okay, yeah. I'll work on that.
But it's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Shane. Thank you so much to everyone who watched and listened or is watching after the fact. And we will see you all next week at the same time, 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. UK time. And have a great week, everyone. Bye.